Welcome back to the 128KB podcast. We are back once again.
Oh, yes.
Due to lack of popular demand.
As always.
That's right. This is your weekly dose of all things gaming with him and me.
Oh, yes. Hello.
And Andy.
Yes, AJ.
I've got a doozy this week.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, a doozy.
Ooh.
Yeah. I want to talk about those Switch 2 rumours and news stories that have been circulating this week.
Confirmed. 2024.
Confirmed. Well, it's not confirmed. Confirmed by 128KB. Seal of approval. Switch 2 is landing this year.
It's got to be, though, isn't it?
Yes. So there's a lot of kind of insider reports and different experts like us.
Oh, yes.
Talking about the Switch 2 and what is likely to happen.
Yes, yeah.
From release dates to what kind of games we're expected to see on it, and of course the all-important specs and prices.
Yes, yeah.
Conjecture around the Switch 2 is ramping up.
Yes.
And to say that we're excited by it is probably an understatement.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been talking about the Switch 2 or Pro
since the Switch came out.
Yeah, it's pretty much been like a year after people started talking about the Pro. And I kind of wound down doing videos about it because people were getting annoyed. Do you know what I mean? Like, just in general, not just with me. But
so
like,
you take that rhetoric and you brought it over here.
Yes, and I thought, let's do it on the podcast instead.
Let's bring so many anger over here.
Yeah, that's it.
Thanks.
Yes, yeah, no, that's good. That's good. It? Yeah. No, but it's been a long time coming. I mean, and 100% the OLED was meant to be the Pro.
Yes.
But then, the world collapsed in on itself. China shut down. Yeah. Parts were not available. And so I think the Pro turned into the OLED. Yeah. The PrOLED. So I think now is the time. We're in the 8th year of the Switch.
Yeah.
We've got, or is it the 7th year? 7th year of the Switch, and it's the 9th year of the APU.
Yeah,
so
that's the real damning part.
Yeah.
I think.
And it's showing.
Firstly, I guess we should talk about when it's expected first, and then why it's expected to happen.
Yep, tomorrow.
And then what we're expecting to see. Yeah, okay. So we're expecting to. We've got actually exclusive hands-on.
Yes, yeah. Here.
Really small.
Yes, tiny.
No, that's just my notes because I've got a bad memory. What did I say first?
When, yes. Who, what, where, when?
When.
Yes.
So the reports are, and we've been talking about this for a long time, everyone's been saying the same thing, is that it's most expected to happen in Q4 of this year.
Yeah, so in the last quarter of the year, yeah.
I'm betting for October.
What, release?
Yeah.
Because obviously you've got to take into consideration they need ample time to announce first and then flood marketing and everything else beforehand. I'm
guessing that we're going to have a kind of March reveal and an October release.
March.
And I think it's going to be, I'm going to place a bet with you all now, October the 18th.
Oh, yeah, really? Why is that?
Because it's my birthday.
Hey!
No science. No, the science in my head is they seem to. Recent history suggests they like that October time frame.
Yes.
OLED was October.
Yes. Yeah. But the Switch one was like a random.
It was randomly
that was like March or something, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. But I'd say that makes sense for them to announce it in, say, March. Yeah. And then do October. That's what, like 6-7 months?
Yep.
There needs a bit of a ramp point. They need to give us something to talk about for a few months.
Yeah. Come on. Come on. Content creators.
That's it. They need to send us one early. Nintendo, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Because they're obviously watching this.
Yes, no, they're definitely not.
What are Andy and AJ saying?
Yeah, that's it. But yeah, I mean, I would say that's pretty plausible, Yeah. And it's right in time for Christmas then as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? October, all the fanboys will buy them immediately, and then it gives the parents time to go, you know what, little Billy deserves a really powerful new system. Let's do it.
Does.
And little Billy's really happy then at Christmas when he gets his Switch Pro 2.
So you're in line with that thinking as well?
I reckon that's probably
March
correct.
Announcement, October release. October the 18th. That's my bet. What's your bet? Go on, sweet
17th. Got to give me a day head start.
Oh, that's amateur hour. That means I've got between October the 18th and the end of the year to get it right.
Oh, yeah,
in fact, even if it's 25, I win.
Damn. All right, I got a day. Come on, Nintendo. Didn't think that one through.
Yeah.
But no, I'd say that makes sense. I mean, it's Nintendo. They could do what they did with the Switch 1. But when that came out at the beginning of the year, but it got announced beforehand, didn't it? It had a good amount of time prior.
Hey, they may even do that yet. It may be 2025.
True.
That feels like way too long, though.
I think it's too long. I mean, the Switch is showing its age. And with other stuff that might be in the works that maybe we'll talk about a bit later, I think it makes more sense for it to be this year. And again, there's no heavy hitters lined up. Do you know what I mean? There's no games that Nintendo are like, yeah, look at this.
There's a few really big markers beyond the kind of insider reports that we're getting out in kind of Reddit, Twitter land, and the rest of it.
Yeah.
There's, if you're just kind of thinking about it and looking at it, there's a few key markers that suggest it's happening. The first one is the game titles that have been announced or not announced.
Yeah.
More importantly,
the lack of,
and the needing for some of the big IPs to be kind of having their next title.
Absolutely.
Think about 3D Mario. When was the last one?
Odyssey, yeah, which launched with the Switch. You know, you got Odyssey, still waiting on Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
We got Mario Kart 9 because...
When?
Yeah, exactly. All the waves of 8 are done.
Yeah.
And again, that's a Wii U game.
Yes.
You know, so it makes sense for them to be holding on for 9 to come out with this next iteration of the Switch, whether that's a 2 or a Pro, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's necessity. Zelda's now been canned.
Yeah,
not forever, but
they've come out and said that Tears of the Kingdom's the end of this
done,
kind of chapter.
No DLC or anything.
It's done. So no more development for that part of Zelda.
Yeah. Because that was initially meant to be Breath of the Wild DLC. They've even said that. It was meant to be a DLC, then it developed into its own game. So, and that's it. They're done with that. So it just makes sense. There's like the omission of all these big titles. It's like, it just feels like they're waiting for something. Yeah. You know, and what better way to hold them back ready?
And if we're going off the kind of gaps from like mainline Pokemon games,
exactly,
we're probably looking at early 25 for the next one.
Absolutely. So if they release the console in October 24, then right at the beginning of the year, bam, new Pokemon.
Yeah.
That maybe you'll be able to run.
Hopefully Wopey won't as broken as the open world.
Oh my god, Scarlet and Violet.
Scarlet and Violet, thank you.
Yes. 1 FPS.
Just broken. There's just imagine for a second this, everything we say is true.
Yes.
The new Switch gets announced, the release date's October, and then the direct just before it is game, all the big IPs.
Yes, but they could do that now. Like if they announced in March, you know, I'm trying to actually remember when the Nintendo Directs are. I think it's February, then June.
There's a couple that happen in the summer, isn't there? Quite quick, close together.
Yes, I feel like I'm totally wrong here, but from memory, I think it's about February, then June, then August, and then like November or December or something like that. I can't remember, but it feels like if they announce, obviously I reckon the announcement for this will just be random. I don't think they'll do it in a direct. It'll be its own thing. Like bam, here it is, random date out of time from
Nintendo,
the direct.
Yeah, Nintendo will do what they do is like they'll announce it 12 hours before.
Yes,
Special announcement tomorrow. Like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hardware announcement. You know, or whatever it might be. So I feel like they'll do that, and then all the directs following that will be like it was with the 3DS to the Switch. Once the Switch was announced, the directs became, look at these cool 3DS games. Now let's look at the Switch games coming, even though the Switch wasn't even like ready yet or whatever. You know, I feel like that's what they could do. They could announce the Switch Pro or whatever it's going to be at the end of this year. Yeah. And then all the directs leading up to that, they could be like, and this game's going to be available at, I don't know, 120 FPS on the Pro, or maybe exclusive only, or whatever it might be.
Locked 60. But we'll get into specs and games and stuff in a bit. The other key marker that suggests it's definitely going to happen is one of cold hard money in sales figures.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's the kind of brutal part. Up until PlayStation did their huge slash in the price at the end of the first PlayStation 5 generation, before they did the Slim.
Yes.
Up until that point, Nintendo, month-on-month sales, the Switch was the best-selling console every month in this generation for a long time. Obviously, it peaked around 2020. Yeah. And it is is quickly approaching becoming one of the best-selling consoles of all time.
Yeah.
insane numbers that they've reached. But since that PlayStation slash in price, PlayStation 5 is now the month-on-month best-selling console. I think they've reached 50 million units now.
Not too sure.
I'm pretty sure that news came out the other day.
Yeah.
But month-on-month, it's ahead of the Switch now, which is
weird.
Yeah, the tables have turned.
Yes.
And I think there was no real incentive for Nintendo to make any changes whilst they were the best-selling console.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the point?
Why would they?
Why change something when it's not broken? Do you know what I mean? Like,
they're doing really well from it.
Exactly, yeah. It's sold hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions, yeah.
It's like 150 plus million, I think, or something. It's mad.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely mental. So it makes absolute sense, like you said, for them to just let it roll.
Let it roll.
And then now it's on the decline, and the projection is just going to be less.
And it's on quite a rapid decline now.
Yes, it's quite steep. Yeah. I did see a graph from some Japanese company that showed the sales of the Switch over
I think it's still outselling the Xbox, unfortunately, for Xbox.
That's not hard, is it? Sadly.
No. That's it's my catchphrase. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Why doesn't the Xbox sell as much? It's weird.
I don't know. Maybe we should rant about that.
I think we could.
I think we should.
Anyway, so the trend is that the sales are declining now. Finally,
yes, yay!
7 years on, is it?
Yeah, I'm for once I'm happy that it's not selling as well.
Yeah,
so I want the next one.
Yeah, well, it is time.
It is time, though. It is, and being a hardcore Switch fanboy, because I love Nintendo.
Yeah,
but it's struggling now. And to be honest, I play my Steam Deck way more than the Switch now because games come out and I'm just like, it's going to run better on the Steam Deck, and 100%. Likely I already own it on the Steam, on Steam anyway. Do you know what I mean? If it's a remaster or whatever, there's still stuff that like Another Code. So hyped for that, coming out on the Switch. Same with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Straight away getting that on Switch rather than anything else. Like I still play my Switch, but I gravitate to the Steam Deck OLED more so because the Switch is struggling on some games.
I mean, the Switch has always been for a kind of bracketed specific kind of games where it excels.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the new Prince of Persia game, like coming out in the middle of January, it's perfect for the Switch.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that it's a kind of 2D action platform, a Metroidvania.
Yep.
They're saying that it'll be at locked 60 FPS
handheld and docked.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and at 720p handheld and 1080p docked. So it's full resolution locked.
But it can cope with that.
Yes.
Because it's a less intensive kind of game.
Yeah.
They are fewer and far between. Yeah. Especially when we're looking at, they need a new update to like a 3D Mario.
Yes.
They'd struggle to make that competitive on the Switch.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, even Tears of the Kingdom, I noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, we deep dived into that before it came out, if you remember, and looking at all the the pop in and the shadow textures, looking like 3 pixels, flickering. And once you're in the game, it's fun, just like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I actually really like playing that game co-op with Christina. Great, but if you're looking at it in like a performance point of view, it is horrendous. Yeah. Like unplayable, bad, but you just take it for what it is. You just go, yeah, okay, but at least the game's fun.
Yeah.
But it's noticeably like, oh, do you know what I mean?
So talking of performance, it makes sense to look at what we're hearing.
Yes.
The Switch 2 will be. And the first big thing to kind of cement is it seems like the most logical. All the reports are saying this is nailed on. That it won't be a reinvention.
Yes.
It won't be a revolution.
It's not a new system.
It's not a new system. They're not going to do away with the hybrid handheld thing. It's just going to be in a reimagining of the Switch. With better hardware.
Yeah, and potentially it could be in line with what we see now.
That's a really interesting point.
It could be that we get the Switch Lite and that doesn't go away. We get the Switch OLED, that doesn't go away. And then we get the Switch Pro.
What's the Switch Pro?
The Switch Prune.
Oh yeah, Switch Prunes.
Yeah.
Good.
But the Switch Pro or the Super Nintendo Switch, whatever they call it. I really hope they call it.
It would be so good if they went Super Nintendo Switch. I think they're going to Switch 2.
I don't think they'll call it Switch 2. If they're because that implies it's a new system, like the PS2. The PS2 wasn't just a more powerful PS1. It was a whole new thing, wasn't it?
That's true.
Do you know what I mean? So I don't see it being a Switch 2.
This is only the case if they coexist.
Yes, but I believe they might. I really do.
And if they do coexist, that does suggest that the Switch 2 or Switch Pro or Super Nintendo, whatever it's called, will be totally backwards compatible.
Absolutely.
And will have the same cartridge slot system. So you'll be able to play your Switch games on it. That does make a lot of sense.
Yes. Yeah, it does.
It's rare that game hardware manufacturers do things that feel like they make sense for gamers.
But they've already done it. Really, with the 3DS, they released the new 3DS, and that was the same. It had a backwards compatible cartridge slot for 3DS games, but it also had exclusive games only available on the new 3DS. Granted, there was only like 5, but it was still a thing. It was a more powerful system. It was better 3D. It had an extra nubbin joystick on there. Like, it was a new system all over, but it was still a 3DS.
You don't think they're going to call it the new Nintendo Switch, do you?
I hope they don't. I really hope they don't, because I hate that naming system. I absolutely hate it. It's so annoying.
Especially if you want to buy a pre-owned one.
Exactly. I was just about to say used. Can I have a used new Nintendo Switch? Sorry, no, we only do second-hand ones. Yeah, that's what I mean.
And what about when it's like 5 years into the age of the...
Yeah. The not so new. That's like my parents, right? They had a TV for like 15 years. They always used to say, that's our new telly. It's like 15 years out of date. Yeah, but it's our new one. It's the last one we bought, so it's the new one.
Newest one.
Yeah, no, but it's not though, is it? No. So that's basically the same thing. So I absolutely hope they do not do that again, because I hated that naming system for the 3DS. But I do think that will be the case. I think it will be just like the 3DS, where the Switch Lite, the Switch OLED will remain, and now we've got this extra thing, the Switch PrOLED. You know, that's what it's going to be, the Switch PrOLED. Just stick a P in front, you're good. And it's going to be the same. I think maybe they might do that locked game thing, where there may be some systems, some games that are locked to the new system, but I fully think it will be backwards compatible.
It kind of has to have games that are locked to it, unless a lot of the performance comes from kind of like hardware acceleration stuff.
Yes.
I think from a developer's point of view, it'd be too hard to be developing a game that will run optimally on Switch 2 and not and then also run on Switch.
Possibly. I mean, it really depends, because as we've seen with like games even now with, let's say, PlayStation or Xbox, where you've got fidelity mode and performance mode.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
The fidelity mode is, it running native, and that's why it's lower frames per second, but it looks better. But then you've got performance mode, which is utilizing upscaling techniques, including, let's say, DLSS for NVIDIA, which is what the Switch would be using. And that could be a thing. It could be that it's just developed with that technology in mind, and it gets utilized on the...
I mean, the argument for it, if you look over to... let's just look over to PlayStation for a second. Although the PS4 is no longer sold, PS4 and 5 coexist in this generation. And 99% of PlayStation games are made for 5 and 4.
Yes.
Still.
Yes.
Halfway through, with it coming into the 4th year of...
Other than Red Dead Redemption 1 remake, which was only developed for PS4.
Oh, yeah.
Not PS5.
Yeah, that was a problem.
But do you see what I mean, though? That it could absolutely coexist. Because, again, they're just PCs now, aren't they? Yeah. So it's not like different architecture. It's not like trying to make a 3DS game and a Wii U game. Totally different scales. Like, we're talking incremental upgrade here. It's just like having a different PC. So they could make it base level, and then just decide, okay, it's only locked to using like this mode on this system, but now when you've got it in the Pro, it can then utilize DLSS. But that's kind of backwards thinking, because you would have thought that would be enabled in the game for the older systems, because it's usually there to help struggling.
The older systems.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe this new one's got some sort of chip that makes it run better.
So the first thing I really want to delve into with like the hardware part of it is this kind of conflicting stories about what screen it's going to use.
Yeah, there is, isn't there? Yeah,
and that potentially that the Switch 2 won't have an OLED.
I know.
Which would seem insane.
Why would they release like a more powerful version with a worse screen when this is aimed at being a handheld like hybrid?
Yes.
Why would you go backwards when you've done the OLED, which is beautiful? It's an incredible screen.
It's incredible, yeah.
Why would you then like
go back to LCD?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense, especially when you've seen that you can have high refresh rate OLEDs.
Yeah.
It's not like that's not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, the Steam Deck's got a 90 hertz OLED, and you can get 120 hertz OLED screens or above. So why would you backtrack? Cost, maybe.
Well, yeah, and we'll get to the potential cost of the console in a bit. But yes, keeping the cost down, maybe. But it would seem like if they can do the Switch OLED at the cost that they're currently doing it, and they're obviously making money.
Yeah, and they've got to deal with the manufacturer of the screen.
Precisely. Yeah. So having a 120 hertz OLED panel in the Switch 2 just seems like a no-brainer.
It does.
And so much of the perceived beauty of the game.
Yes.
Is from the OLED panel.
Absolutely.
So much of it.
Yeah. I mean, going from the Switch to the Switch OLED is night and day difference.
Yeah.
And all those people that go, it doesn't matter, like, you've never played one. I'll always advocate that.
If you're just playing docked all the time, I totally understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Then there's no argument there. But
I definitely implore you to take it out of the dock once in a while and have a look.
Yes.
Because the OLED is insane.
OLED, like, that's even, again, I know I'm sidetracking to the Steam Deck, but again, that jump from the LCD Steam Deck to the OLED is mind-blowing, I know there's other stuff under the hood, but just screen alone, incredible difference.
Yeah.
So, but what would you think if it's a larger screen? Like, what are we talking screen size here? Because the OLED was already a bigger screen than the LCD on the Switch. Are we talking the same sort of size? What is it? About 7.5
7.5, is it?
Something like that.
7.1?
It's a bit smaller. Yeah, I'm thinking of Steam Deck. So yeah, around the 7, like low sevens, because when it gets too big, it no longer becomes portable. Yeah, exactly.
And the portability thing, this hybrid, the reason they're keeping it, A, is because it's been wildly popular.
Yeah.
B is because handheld gaming is becoming even more popular. We're seeing that with the Steam Deck, with the ROG Allies.
Yeah.
There was another one that was it's been announced.
The MSI Claw.
That's it. Thank you. Handheld gaming is becoming more and more popular. Hybrid handheld gaming in particular. And the Switch kicked that all off.
Yeah. And Nintendo are known for their handhelds.
And that's number 3. Nintendo, and most importantly, Pokemon.
Yes, absolutely.
Pokemon's a handheld game.
Yeah, it always was until the Switch.
And it only existed on the Switch because the Switch is a handheld console. Yeah. It's a hybrid.
Absolutely.
For the next generation of Pokemon to exist, which is likely to be 2025.
Yeah, I reckon that's a good estimate.
And for it to be on the Switch too, which it needs to be because it's one of the biggest IPs there is.
Yeah.
It's going to maintain this handheld portability. So portability is really important.
Absolutely, yeah.
So because of that, I can't imagine them going beyond an 8-inch screen.
No, I'd say 8 inches like cut off. You're done then.
Bezel-less 8-inch.
Oh, yeah.
If it's an OLED panel, then it will be.
Yes, that would be great. And again, I'd love to see a high refresh rate, like higher than 60. Even if they went 90, like the Steam Deck, that would be great.
The kind of leaks and all the rumours are that's 120 hertz refresh.
Yes,
which will be amazing.
It will be incredible, but I'd still take the OLED over. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have an OLED panel than an LCD one.
So that's interesting. Would you take an OLED at 60?
Yeah. Or
an LCD at 120?
OLED at 60. You're playing handheld. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dock it if you want higher FPS.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I want, if I'm looking at the screen, I want the best screen I can look at.
Yeah.
And then if it's locked at 60, well, the game's just going to run better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it really depends on the specs of the system, whether or not it can do it. I would love to see a 1080p handheld screen just to make it that much crisper. I mean, to be honest, the original 720p screen of the of the Switch looks great. Yes. It does look great. Again, Steam Deck is 800p max, it's not even 1080p.
Yeah, well,
that looks great.
You're talking about a screen that's 7 inches corner to corner.
Yeah.
For 1080, it is probably overkill, but that's the maximum in which, especially for an OLED panel.
Yep.
If you go above that, it's totally pointless.
It's absolutely pointless.
It's just a number for a box.
Yes.
That is.
Yeah. But it would be really nice clarity if it was an 8-inch screen, let's say, and 1080p, and you could handheld play locked at 60. Like, that'd be incredible. So I would take an OLED 60 hertz panel over an LCD 120.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Because, again, if I wanted more, I could just dock it.
Yeah. there was a couple of other points that were kind of almost a bit kind of neither here nor there, and I don't even know if I believe them. 8 gig of RAM.
Yeah, I don't know. That
seems too low.
It sounds low to me. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I saw that as well. I was like, really?
And the other one that seems too low, 64 gig of storage.
Yeah, it's the same as the OLED has now. It's too low.
It'll be higher than that because the games, the next generation games are going to be bigger.
Yeah,
they have to be.
And everything seems to be going more digital now. It needs to prepare for the future. It needs 128 gigabytes.
And talking of digital, that's the kind of other really kind of slightly tinfoil hat moment of why it will still be called the Switch, for those of you arguing that it won't be. Nintendo have invested so much into Nintendo Switch Online.
Yes.
So much.
They can't change it.
It's been a huge focus. They work with Microsoft on some things as well. There's a collaboration there. Microsoft are really pushing to their digital service too.
Yes.
They'll be aware of how successful each is.
Mm-hmm.
For them to have spent so much time and energy on Nintendo Switch Online, there's no way that they would ditch it now for the next thing online.
And nor would they run both at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
It'd be too expensive.
They wouldn't be running Nintendo Switch Online for the Switch Lite and the OLED, which is still going to carry on.
Yeah.
It's still got life in it, and then have this separate entity and then a whole new system. It's not going to happen. No. That's why I think this is going to be an iteration, because like you said, with the online thing, it just lines up. Mm-hmm. It will just take the baton and carry on. Do you know what I mean? Rather than completely revamping. They need to make it better. Do you know what I mean?
Certain.
But it will still be the same thing.
This is how voting with my feet I am on that. I actually cancelled my subscription.
Yes.
Switch Online. Because I just wasn't playing it.
I let mine lapse.
Yeah. Same. Just like, I'll cancel the auto renew, let it run out.
I thought I'll wait until something comes on that I really care about, and then I'll
do it again. I'll be honest, the best addition on there in my mind was the Mario Kart DLCs.
Yeah, that's great.
For value. That's really cool.
And you can just buy that now in a box.
Yeah.
So you don't even need the Switch Online for it.
So they need to improve their digital offering for certain.
They need to revamp the e-store, because thing sucks. Not even.
That's another whole episode all on its own. The e-store is just a train wreck.
What is going on there? Oh, don't.
They need to stop.
That is the only reason they need more powerful hardware. It's so that they can run the shop, because it is.
The UI is awful.
It's terrible.
And they really, how many indie medieval farmer games do they need?
And very risque, should this even be on the store?
Borderline hentai.
Yeah, exactly. It's how did this pass quality control?
Yeah.
But the store sucks. So they need to change all that. But the RAM seems low. The internal storage seems low. And that's pretty much the only things we've heard about it, other than the price, I suppose. But
that was the last kind of big point that I wanted to really get
before we go to that, still looking at hardware, we've said we'd like an 8-inch screen max, right? I think it can be less. 7.5-inch, fine.
Yeah.
And if you've got the option of playing games at 720p, 120 hertz, or 1080p 60,
it's plausible.
That would be cool. That could be your fidelity performance mode on the Switch. You got these two versions. Do you want a lower resolution but loads of FPS, or do you want better resolution but less? That's where it would be mind-blowing, and where DLSS could really come into play there. That would be really cool. But alongside the screen, what's the rest of it going to be like? Is it the same shell?
Oh, is it the same kind of Joy-Con
Is it the same Joy-Cons? Or is this where they make it more like Switch 2 but not? Where they make something new? Is it redesigned? Is it got pro frickin' Joy-Cons now that are actually ergonomic and not holding 2 lollipop sticks on the side that give you hands cramp, give you carpal tunnel?
I don't know. There's the logical part of me goes, they'll go for what all the third-party manufacturers have done with the kind of Pro Joy grips and the idea that they're kind of angled out to make it more ergonomic.
Yeah.
But there's also part of me that says they probably won't, because the thing that I think that they really hold on to is that the Joy-Cons now act really well. They don't. They're horrible. But they act really well as single-player controllers on their own.
It's nothing to stop a new redesign being controlled. or for them to be backwards compatible.
Oh, I think that would be definitely plausible. But I think the Joy-Cons that will come in the box, I've got a feeling.
They're going to be normal?
Yeah, I think they might put a Hall effect sensor in instead.
Yeah.
Maybe some mechanical switches on the shoulders.
That would be nice.
But beyond that, I think the ergonomics are going to be the same.
I think they're going to redesign it
entirely.
Yes, otherwise Wii U again. Do you know what I mean? Like there needs to be. What's the difference? Yeah. What's the difference? There needs to be some kind of visual difference for people to differentiate. Oh, hang on. What's that one? Or little Billy in the shop when Mum's looking at Christmas presents at the end of this year, and he goes, "No, it's that one with the weird controllers on the side," you know. And again, I think if it's meant to be Pro, why not make like a more ergonomic Pro style Joy-Con?
It makes sense
with Hall effect sticks.
I just like everything so far in this story of what will be, is too sensible.
Yeah,
we're talking about Nintendo.
Yeah. I mean, true.
The Wii, wildly successful.
Yes.
The Wii U, what did they do to the controller?
Turned it into a tablet.
And no one really understood what it was for.
No, but that was just purely bad marketing, wasn't it? They never showed the console.
They never showed it, yeah.
They showed the freaking tablet,
and
everyone went, what? Do I buy this for the Wii?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Like, and so it was very weird. Whereas obviously I think this is going to have a big flashy name like the Switch PrOLED, you know, and I
what
feel
if they do something curveball with it?
They probably will have crappy Joy-Cons on it. Like it is Nintendo, but I just really feel like I'm picturing a box. There needs to be some sort of visual difference to say this is the new model, this is the future, this looks Pro. You know, like there's a visual difference here. If you saw them all lined up, Switch Lite, Switch OLED, PrOLED.
PrOLED.
Do you know what I mean?
They're not going to call it the PrOLED.
No, they're not. But that's my go-to now. but do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do, definitely.
What it actually ends up looking like, no idea. I mean, it could be totally different. I think it's still going to have Joy-Con rails. I think it's going to be a Switch still, but just some sort of variation on it. Maybe they drop the IR stupid sensor on the right Joy-Con that nobody ever programmed any games to use, you know, that stupid camera on the bottom. It's going to have some sort of gimmick, surely, because I really feel like this is not the next Nintendo console, that this is an iteration, but I feel like they still need to add a gimmick to make it feel Nintendo. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, totally.
So I feel like they could drop the IR sensor on the right and do something different. Does it have a camera on it now? Or like, do you know what I mean?
Do you know, when we were talking about panels, I was thinking about camera as well. You're seeing a lot of, in the phone world now, hidden cameras being hidden underneath the OLED panels.
Oh, wow.
So you have a bezel-less phone but has a front-facing camera.
Nice, but you can't see it.
So you can't see it. So the technology's there now.
What if they've already done that and they've just been watching everyone playing the game?
They got a lot of hours of me going. Just like really unflattering ankle.
Laying in bed like, my hands are numb because the Joy-Cons suck.
Eating crisps.
Yes, yeah. Dropping the screen on your face.
Because you've fallen asleep.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I feel like they need to release Pro Joy-Cons, official ones, because the Joy-Cons were just the Joy-Cons for years. No one even made any of these like controllers that I look at all the time.
Yeah.
Up until that Damon Machina game came out in 2020. That was 3 years after the release of the Switch. It took 3 years for Hori to make that, you know, the
split
pad Pro. And then as soon as that dropped, all these random companies went, why didn't we figure that?
Yeah.
And then everyone went mental with it and did it, you know, and now we're seeing so many of them. We've got the Nitro deck, you've got the Retro Flag, you've got Nixie, you've got Doyoki, you've got Movapad, you've got all of these different companies that are like going hard with these Pro style controllers because the Joy-Cons suck, you know, for maybe for kids and stuff, it's all right. Or if you're just casually gaming, but if you're trying to properly play, it's not good. So I personally feel like they'll finally take heed and try and make something, especially with all this rubbish about the Joy-Con drift. I feel like they need to
just go to Hall effect and it's gone.
Nip that stigma in the butt, you know,
in the butt,
Yeah, I said in the butt.
Yeah, I got you.
I meant in the bud. You could nip it in the butt if you want.
Well, I mean,
you know, and
only on a Saturday.
But then, you know, move past that and be like, look what we've done now. Hall effect. You're never going to get drift. Look at these Pro controllers. They don't even need to be special. Just be exactly the same as the Joy-Con, but a different shape with some Hall effect, ones that feel nice to hold. Like the Steam Deck is ergonomically beautiful to hold. Like I can sit there and play it for hours without hand cramp because it's just so spot on.
The Switch with the even the Switch with the Joy-Cons is not ergonomic.
No,
the Joy-Cons on their own are not ergonomic.
Yep.
When they're together with the central connector, they're not ergonomic.
No.
When they're individual and you're playing the tiny one, like it's 4 of you playing Mario Kart or whatever, they're even worse.
Yes, exactly. So,
but they do like that idea of that controller that is multi-purpose.
But it could be, even though it could be ergonomic in design, it could still be multifunctional. You know, it could be. I mean, I think we saw a design on like a mock-up that was leaked with that shifting
movable part.
Yeah, and that would make sense. That would instantly make it more ergonomic. Because even if it was like domed on the back, so you had something to hold on to.
If you could move the position of the right stick.
Thumbstick, yeah, exactly. If you could slide them to account for little people hands, kids, and then adult hands, that would instantly make more sense.
Yeah,
it would
almost definitely has to have Hall effect sensors.
Yes, and if it doesn't, then just use full-size joysticks that are much less likely to develop drift. You know, full-size joysticks, even if they've got small caps on them, so it feels smaller or looks smaller, whatever. But I feel like there needs to be a visual difference. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, I expect it to have backwards compatibility because it is going to be a Switch.
Yeah,
it's going to be a Switch something, so it's going to have backwards compatibility. And whether or not it's got dedicated games, who knows?
It would definitely have dedicated games, I believe.
Yeah.
And finally, the price point, which we're seeing it being talked about, which doesn't sound ridiculous. In fact, it sounds on the cheap side.
Yeah.
So you're hearing it's going to be $400 or £400 at launch, which, if you account for what else is in the market, it feels...
I think it's right, to be fair, because Switch OLED came in at $320. That already bumped up the price of the traditional Switch. I mean, you got Switch Lite at what, $200? Let's say the traditional Switch at $260 or whatever it was. I think it was $270 maybe. Then it went to $320. We're talking UK monies for the OLED, and then so for it to jump up to $400. I think that makes sense. You've got then the PS5, which is what, basically $500, let's say.
Yeah.
Xbox, top end, you're looking at $480.
Yeah.
You're looking at Steam Deck. Okay, that starts pretty low, but we're in a totally different area. We're out of consoles now.
Yeah.
But still, like the Steam Deck OLED, for example, $450, I think it is here in the UK. So that's still more expensive. And then you're into the crazy money like Asus ROG Ally, which is like 700 quid and stuff like that, and it goes up and up and up and up and up. But I would say 400 sounds right. It's still undercutting the competition in terms of Xbox and PlayStation, even though Nintendo never go head to head with them.
No,
but it's still cheaper than that because it won't be as powerful. It won't be, but it sounds right to me.
The other thing as well, which is a little bit of a prickly issue, and I know we have a kind of issue planned on the price of games.
Yes.
Is the next gen games that are released. There's talk of them being up to £70 or dollars
for the Switch
2, which would bring their pricing in line with Xbox and PlayStation.
Yes,
for their games. That makes sense on face value. Like everything in the same generation is the same price. The games, I think it has to be specific on the title.
But that's what they've already come out and said.
They have?
Yeah,
okay.
Tears of the Kingdom 70.
What's Tears of the Kingdom 70?
They've said we're going to do this on a case-by-case basis. So they literally said that. It depends on the game.
70?
Yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, maybe not. I mean, I didn't pay 70. I'd never paid full price for games. Come on, AJ.
You've got your uncle in Argentina to buy it for you. Is that right?
No, not on the Switch. I bought it physically on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
It's just those random UK sell companies that are like, let's undercut everyone so we get the sale. Yeah. It's like, yeah, cool.
We won't mention names because they don't pay us anything.
No, exactly. Yeah. But, you can find physical games pretty good. I mean, pre-ordered Prince of Persia, 35 quid. Great.
That's
do you know what I mean? For a physical, good.
Yeah.
But I think the Switch PrOLED game prices are going to be the exact same price as the Switch games. But on occasion, new Super Mario, 70. Mario Kart 9, 70. Metroid Prime 4, 70. You know what I mean?
The big
and yada
IPs.
yada. Yeah, exactly. All the big stuff, bam, top price. Pokemon, absolutely, yes, 70. Everyone buys both copies anyway, don't they? So that's 140.
And then you got the collector's tin.
Exactly. So I can see that happening, and I'm okay with that. Like, because then you've got all the random jank that the e-store's filled up with crap with like 50p. Go for it. Then you got the AA like games which are a bit less for less. I'm totally cool with that. The other side is, I think that we're going to see Game Pass come to it.
You said this before.
I've said this before as a kind of a joke. Oh, just knocked my drink over. Whoopsie. I've said it before kind of as a joke, but as I was saying it, I was like, actually, I believe this.
So go down story lane for a minute.
Yeah.
When the Switch launched, what game was it with?
Skyrim,
which is a Bethesda title,
which is Xbox.
It's owned by Microsoft and Xbox now. There's been a lot of kind of cozying up between Nintendo and Microsoft.
Yep.
And there's been expressions from Microsoft about them being willing to share games over.
Yep.
Call of Duty, when they took over Activision Blizzard, it said that it was going to be released on all platforms with parity at the same time.
Including Nintendo.
Yes. Which obviously hints at upgraded hardware for Nintendo for the next generation.
Exactly, because they said Nintendo, not Switch. Yeah. But
so already we can see that there's a close relationship between Microsoft and Nintendo for the gaming world anyway. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be outrageous to see Game Pass.
Especially with the new rumours of Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves or whatever.
Sea of Thieves coming over to Switch.
Yeah. Rumoured, it's not confirmed. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just seems like Nintendo and Microsoft are very chummy.
Yes.
And it would make sense.
Microsoft's entire approach to Xbox at the moment does seem to be focused on getting as many users signed up to Game Pass as possible.
Absolutely.
Which is a smart move.
Yep.
And if they feel like they've kind of reached a saturation point with native Xbox players, when they get to that point, the only place to look is to other platforms.
Yes. Yeah. And why not? Like, why not have Xbox, like Game Pass, on Switch? Like, you're both winning, really, because you're getting access to games that you wouldn't otherwise get.
I suppose the only thing is it would beg the question, if it happened, why buy an Xbox?
Yeah, I get you, but it's not going to run as well. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of... I get what you mean, but I think they'll be targeting the 150 million Switch users.
Yes.
That, okay, let's say 10% have got an Xbox. You're left with an awful lot of people left.
Yeah, I get it.
There's not that many people that probably have multiple
if it happens,
systems.
It will show us exactly what their Microsoft's intentions are, where their focus is.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And you do have a point. Like, what's the point of owning an Xbox if you've got a system that does it all? But, yeah.
Because there's every likelihood that the Switch 2 would outperform the Series S.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly. I don't know. Because Series S is targeting 1440p as opposed to 4K. This is one thing we haven't talked about the Switch. I don't think it's going to be 4K.
Definitely not.
I don't think they're targeting 4K. No. This new Tegra chip or whatever they call it, the T64795.10. I don't know what it is. I'm making it up.
Numbers.
Whatever it is. Digital Foundry a little while ago did a deep dive on trying to get a PC similarly spec'd as this chip.
Yeah.
And trying to push it, and they basically said it can't do 4K.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be 4K. I think they need to focus on 1080p.
Yeah.
Maybe 1440.
I was going to say 1440 is going to be the target.
But to me,
for whatever they would call that mode, and the performance mode be scaled down.
Do you reckon they're going to have those two modes then?
Yes.
Yeah, the fidelity and performance.
It's become a almost a staple now in the current generation.
Yes,
we come to expect it.
Yeah, and it gives people choice, and people love choice.
But I think they'll target 1440, which looks fine on a 4K panel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even 1080p looks great on a.
Yeah, and I think 1080 will be like the optimum
the
mode.
High performance mode. Yeah. So that would be performance mode. 1080p, 120 FPS.
Yeah.
If it can reach that, but over 60.
Yeah.
And then the other mode will be 1440, 30 or something like that.
The whole
60.
4K thing is I'll be honest, it's a bit of a gimmick. Let's be fair. That's for the console world. PC gamers tend to target 1440 anyway because it performs loads better.
Yeah. You were higher FPS.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's an easy catchphrasey thing you can put in a box or
8K.
Like PlayStation's 8K nonsense. You can put it on the box, and if you're not interested in digging into what that actually means, it just sounds better.
Yeah.
But realistically, aim at 1440 and you'll have a better time. So
that I think, like, talking through it there, that sounds right. But I wouldn't even be mad if they didn't even do that. Even if it was docked 1080p still, but a guaranteed like 120 FPS. Do you know what I mean? Because at the minute, it's not even hitting 60 FPS in a lot of games. Like docked freaking Scarlet and Violet still hits about 21 FPS. So
10.
So, I would much rather have a smoother gameplay experience.
Yeah.
At 1080p than it be chugging again at a higher resolution.
I know we've said it before, and I'm sure loads of people agree with us. You're going to notice an infinite amount more a sudden drop in frame rate than you are a lower resolution.
Yeah.
Unless you're going down to like 320 resolution. But
but those variable resolution games are really cool because it will maintain the FPS.
Yeah.
But the resolution will dip and come back up and stuff. And most of the time you don't notice unless it goes really bad.
Really bad, yeah.
But most of the time they're pretty good. And I think you're right there then that maybe they do the fidelity and performance mode thing. And that could be same and true for the handheld mode.
Yeah.
Maybe there's 720p like 120 FPS or 1080p 60 FPS handheld. Yeah. And then when you go to docked, you've got the option between 1080p and 1440p. That would be great.
Or we could just be giving Nintendo way too much credit.
Of course we are. None of this is going to... Everything we've discussed is way not going to happen. Exactly. And that's... Yeah, it is though, isn't it? Like maybe they don't care because they've never tried to compete with Xbox or PlayStation or PC. So maybe they just go...
Whatever, yeah.
3 FPS is fine, guys.
Yeah, we just want it to look pretty.
I don't know. I hope we're right on some things.
Yeah. We're definitely right on some things.
Yes, but I really expect it to be this year now. It's been far too long. The sales are declining.
It's coming.
Everything else, like
100%.
Even me that makes videos about Nintendo content spends more time playing on a Steam Deck than on the Switch.
Yeah.
Unless it's very specific, like another Code or Prince of Persia or whatever. Most of the time I pick up the Steam Deck instead. Yeah. And I think those sales decline. Nintendo needs to be like, let's pick it back up again. Yeah. Let's do it now. And I think now's the time.
And to go full circle, I'm really excited for when it does happen.
Me too.
It's going to be huge.
It's going to go nuts. I'm obviously going to buy it day one.
Yeah.
I'm going to pre-order right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't wait to show everyone 5 top tips on what to do with the Switch PrOLED.
Is that 5 reasons to watch other videos?
Yes. 5 other videos that I'll tell you to go watch in another video. Yeah.
I guess it gets to that point in the video where you kind of let us know what you think of the Switch 2, what you hope it's going to have, if you think we're right, if it's definitely going to come this year.
Is it going to be more powerful than the Steam Deck?
I think it is.
Whoa.
Will it have an OLED? 400, sorry, is that
700.
too much? Loads of numbers. 400, is that too much for you for a Nintendo console?
No.
Or is it fair? And what do you think about the $70 price point for games for the Switch 2 as well?
Ooh.
All lots to talk about, but do let us know in the comments what you think.
Yes, do it. Yeah.
And if you've got to the deep end with us on the podcast platforms like Spotify and all the rest of it, thanks for being there. There's one thing I need you to do before you finish what you're doing in the toilet. And that's, of course...
Right.
Wash.
Yes.
Wipe, wash and rate.
Yes.
Don't get that the wrong way around.
Yes.
Or you'll get turd all over your screen.
Yes. That's you don't want that.
Definitely don't want that. And if you're on YouTube land, of course, press the buttons below. You should know which ones.
To it.
If you hit thumbs down by accident, hit it again.
Yes.
And then hit thumbs
it twice.
up.
Yeah, that's it.
Hit twice. Subscribe, because it really does help out. We've got channel memberships.
Yay! Become a member and you'll get access to our podcasts early.
That's amazing. I mean, who doesn't want to see this before it's released?
Exactly.
I don't even watch it before it's released. And before you go, if you're on YouTube land, there are some other videos to watch of us talking about nonsense right in between our faces. So do that. And until the next time, I'll see you next time.
Bye.